and your Washington State Realtor. Take it
Okay.
away, Dan.
We're live. There we go.
Hi, guys.
Hello,
We're
everyone.
live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live on TikTok. So, hi, guys. We're here.
We're going live throughout the.
Oh, my God. I'm not nervous.
All righty. Let's get this show on the road, as they say. Here we go. So, lots going on in the world of real estate. Got a few slides for you off the get-go here on the national stuff, because they did have some a couple of reports that came out today. Case-Shiller came out, FHFA came out, and some pretty interesting stuff on affordability. So I'll just jump right into it. We'll take a look, and then we'll kind of lead into your stats, because they are much more timely and relevant for like Snohomish and
more localized. Yep.
Localized.
We'll get to we'll get to the good stuff, the local good stuff for Snohomish, King, and Pierce counties here in just a few minutes.
Yes, we're making you take your medicine first and listen to the boring stuff. Anyway, let's see here. Let's start off. First slide I've got is, hang on. First slide we got is just the most recent Case-Shiller month to month. Now this is a national average, national index, but it dovetails very, very nicely. And you'll see with cats, every week we're talking about the exact same stuff practically for the last 6 weeks. But we'll dovetail this with cat stats, because it fits beautifully. And what you can see is Case-Shiller releases the monthly home price index, and it's an average. So you've got it's an average for May. So you've got March, April, and May closing prices. So this index actually for Case-Shiller goes all the way back to the data that you get for March. Okay, so it's not particularly timely. It's like if we were doing an Olympics for timeliness, Cat would get the gold medal and poor old Case-Shiller would get the silver medal. But it's a very good index to look at trends. And what you can see is that last year we had a dip in prices, and then it's had a resounding pickup that coincided with January, right? It really came back nicely. And let's go to the next stream, the next chart, which is the FHFA index. And the FHFA index is the Federal Housing Finance Agency index. And what they do is they take all the data from basically from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac loans, and they put that together. They leave out the jumbo loans. So this is just Fannie and Freddie data, but it's great data. And quite honestly, I like it better in Case-Shiller because it's not so lagged. But what you can see here, U.S. housing prices, they increased moderately in May. You can see in the blue lines, or the blue parts of the graph is last year. The price changes for 2022, and then the red is for 2023, right? And you can see that the housing price increases have moderated quite a bit, but they're really steady. You can see going back 6 months now, we've had 7 months. We've actually had positive price increases nationally using the conforming data. Conforming mortgage data for example, for King County, there's 2 levels, and one would be for $726,200 and below for a loan amount, and then the other goes up to, I believe it's $910,000 for the jumbo, the higher end market. Anything above that, anything above the high balance levels is going to be considered a jumbo loan. So anyway, with that said, you can see that prices, they've moderated to an extent. They're not going skyrocket crazy, or in Cat's terms, batshit crazy. But it's been going pretty steady, and you can you can do pretty well. And we are getting to a point where we're either, depending on the index, reaching or surpassing last year's peak in June of 2022. So it's an interesting phenomenon. We're seeing it across the board. And I'll go to the third slide, which again comes back to Case-Shiller. And the Case-Shiller, this particular index, it goes back historically, and it covers the 20 city and the 10 city Case-Shiller index. So Case-Shiller has the original index was a 20 city composite that they put together. The original was a 10 city composite that they put together. Then 2 years later, they brought that up. So they added some additional cities like Seattle that's just in the early 90s. So you can see the little dip that we've got that came, last year. And you can see the bottom that occurred right there in, January. And since then, we've really gone off to the races, as you've mentioned many, many times. And then let's see here. We've got two other charts real quick. Oh, Mr. Fat Tuesday's being kind of funny down there, I can see. Anyway, so then we've got, we've got a sort of a dot plot, a scatter plot, if you will, of months inventory and then versus prices. And you can see on the left side of the horizontal line, of the vertical line, on the left side of that, you can see this bunching of home prices where months inventory kind of went up and we had slightly negative prices. And then on the right side, starting in February of 2023, we had they shifted to the right so that you could see the month's inventory has gotten lower and the prices have gone up. Two subtle shifts. And then finally, we talked about this housing affordability index, and it's an interesting index. Let me take a look at it real quick. And then we will be off
to the races.
Off to the races, yes. So this is the housing affordability index for Washington State, and I've got it toggled here to Snohomish County. And it's quarterly data, but it comes from the AWB Institute, and basically it links back to University of Washington has a study, and they've got some really interesting information. Didn't come out that often. It's kind of lagged, but it's very interesting. Anyways, you can see for Washington State, the affordability, when the affordability goes down, okay, so it's gone from in 2017, let's just say Washington State at 109, and now we're down to 65 in the same index. Affordability is getting a lot worse, is what that means. So
it's an ugly situation in Western Washington. I can tell you that, Dan.
Yeah, it is. And I'll just
it's ugly for buyers. Really ugly.
This is what they have for King County. I mean, it's kind of the same story. So I just thought those were kind of interesting stuff to look at. And I thought it'd be a good lead in for all the stats that you've got coming up locally. So Kat, take it away.
Right on. Well, I got Mr. Fat Tuesday right here. He wanted to join for a second.
Hello, Mr. Fat Tuesday. You could hear me talking before we went live, couldn't you? I could tell. He was talking to me.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Okay. Well, let's go into the data for the different counties, and then let's talk about affordability. It's an interesting. I've actually got to put together an example for Snohomish County, and it's really eye-popping what it turned out to be for the last 5 years. So first of all, though, let's talk about King County. King County month supply of inventory is 1.25. So that has been increasing and increased again week over week. 52% of sellers set offer review dates. That's, about where it's been. 45% of sellers got under contract within the first 7 days or less. And 55% got under contract within the first 14. All right, let me start over. 55% of sellers got under contract within the first 14 days on the market. And so we have just a little over half of King County sellers getting under contract within the first 2 weeks. So that still makes for a very strong sellers market. That means there's a lot of competition among buyers over, those first 7 to 14 days, especially during the first 7 days, a lot of multiple offer situations going on. So, and that was 45% that went under contract within the first 7 days. So those are likely multiple offer situations in most cases, not every case, but in most cases.
Right.
So a couple of other interesting data points right now. King County average sales price is up 43% in the last 5 years. So that would be from June 2018 to June 2023. So this is kind of the kicker. Inventory for King County is down 51%. And so in a market of rising interest rates, you would think prices would come down. But in fact, we have such a shortage of inventory right now on the market that there's still more buyers than sellers. So it's kind of a weird, it's an odd time in our market to have a similar dynamic as to what we had last year with record low interest rates at the beginning of the year. And then you could almost understand buyer competition, although our competitions back then were 20, 30, 40 offers, to be fair. Now they're more like 3 to 7 in most cases, if there's multiple offers. So anyway, so that's King County summarized. So, okay, Snohomish County. Snohomish County month supply of inventory has maintained at 0.9 months. So they're still, Snohomish County is a fairly strong seller's market still.
Hey,
although again,
you don't let me cutting in. What?
Sure.
Go back. King was at what, 1.25, and
1.25. Yep.
Month supply, and then Snohomish is at 0.9.
0.9. Yeah. So Snohomish County is cooking. It's still cooking. It's still a really competitive market. I know I've got a buyer right now looking in Snohomish County, and we're having a heck of a time. One, there's no inventory. There's nothing for him to look at, his family to look at, So it's tough. And then we find a house, and, there was, for instance, and this happened just last week, there was a home built in, I think it was about the early 1980s. It was an estate sale and listed for $750-ish in that price range. And they set an offer review date, and they ended up with three offers. The flooring was atrocious. So all the flooring needed to be replaced. It was, I don't know if it was original, but it was colorful. Let's put it that way.
I'd like to hear more about the flooring, but go ahead.
Richly colored.
That'd be pretty interesting.
Red floors.
Oh, red floors?
Anyway, yeah. I mean, red. Anyway, so the flooring all needed replacing across the board. The kitchen needed updating. The bathrooms needed updating. But this was a really solid home in a nice neighborhood in Edmonds, in North Edmonds. And it was on a flat lot, had a beautiful backyard. So they ended up getting 3 offers. And they did not provide an inspection. So, and they still got 3 offers, and they went straight to pending. So yikes. And the listing agent said it went significantly over asking price. So there were only three buyers competing, but they got them to waive the inspection clearly. So I don't know if maybe they had a pre-inspection, maybe the buyers hired an inspector to walk through the home with them. That may be the case. So, but I never recommend a buyer buy a home without having some kind of an inspection, whether the seller provides it or whether you have your own before you make an offer. And that would be called a pre-inspection. when the buyer makes their own offer, or
Let
I'm
me
sorry,
ask you,
gets their own inspection.
if you were, I guess it depends house by house, but if you're talking to somebody just looking to buy a house, would you include that as like on your to-do list that they should just calculate, hey, get your own pre-inspection, or do you think that's something house by offer? You know what I'm saying?
Um,
Does that make
yeah.
sense?
So, well, it's across the board. 100%. You need to get your own inspection prior to making the offer if we believe it's going to be a competition. So, if the seller has set an offer review date, it's just a really good idea. If the seller has not provided an inspection, that the buyer has their own inspection prior to the offer review date, so they can come in confidently with an offer excluding an inspection contingency, which is the benefit of having an inspection. Now, if there's some big ticket items, you might wind up not making that offer, right? So you might be spending $300 to $600 on an inspection and end up not actually wanting to make an offer on that property. But it's still a wise investment. So you might have to pay for a few inspections before you actually get under contract. And that's just kind of the way it is right now with the way the market is. The other thing you can do is, as a buyer, and I talk to my buyers about this all the time, is look at homes that have been on the market for more than 10 days. So maybe they missed their offer review date, but they're definitely starting to get market worn, which in a normal market, 10 days on the market isn't getting market worn. But in this market, when you've got a 50%, approximate 50% chance of getting off the market within the first week or two, staying on the market 10 days with no offers is probably starts to feel a little unnerving for sellers and listing brokers. So, as buyers, you're going to have potentially a little bit of flexibility with your offer. You might be able to include an inspection contingency because you're not competing. You might even be able to get a bit of seller concessions for closing costs or a partial interest rate buy down. 2-1 buy downs are very, very popular with buyers right now. The interest rate gets bought down by 2% for the first year and then 1% for the second year. Very handy tool. So one I did down in Renton not too long ago, we got a 2-1 buy down from the seller. And that cost, I believe it was about $17,000 on a loan of 5 something. So it's not terribly expensive, especially if you can get the seller to pay for it all. Right? We love that.
Yes.
So, but so that's what I tell my buyers is to start looking at things that have been on the market a little bit of time, so that they don't have to compete and worry about paying $50, $60, $100,000 over, in a price range of $600 to $800, right?
Basically, you're getting, once it hits 10 days on the market, it's sort of like getting a few brown spots on the banana, so to speak.
Yeah, and not that a seller is going to sell for less than full price at that point. It depends on the home. And it also depends on the activity. So if they've had lots and lots of showings and they've had really strong positive comments and they have maybe some people talking about writing offers, then they're not likely to drop the price, because then it looks like they've probably priced it fairly close to right. And but the chances increase after 10 days that a buyer might be able to wiggle something off the price or something towards closing costs, which can help everybody in this market. Let's face it, nobody's fond of 7% interest rates yet. Now, if interest rates go higher, we might really look back and say, gosh, wish we should have grabbed that 7%.
Man,
I hope that day doesn't come, Dan, but I'm scared.
If we're looking back on it in those terms, we've got some trouble brewing.
We got problems. Oh dear. Oh.
Hey, do you mind if I back up real quick to that 2-1 buy down?
Yeah.
To keep interrupting. Do you mind if I back up for just a half a second to that 2-1 buy down?
No. Yeah, talk about a 2-1 buy down.
So 2-1 buy down, what's really happening is that internally is that the lender is creating a pool of money. So they'll take however much money they're using and they will set it aside on a 2-1 buy down. They'll set it up so you get a 2% interest rate discount for the first year and then a 1% discount for the third year. They take that money and they divide it up into 2/3 for the first year, 1/3 for the second year, right? And it's not technically an interest rate buy down. It's a payment. And the reason that's important, a payment buy down, the reason that's important is they take those monies and they divide it up and they just reduce the payment by basically they're matching the payment to the rate is what they're doing. And so it's like a reverse calculation. But the reason that's kind of important is that they will keep that pool of money in escrow, and in case rates go down, or they keep it internally in an account, but in case rates go down and you want to refinance, let's say in some miracle happens where rates do come down like I think they will, miracles, and rates come down. If you refinance, you don't lose that money. That's the important part. It doesn't just go away with the mortgage. You have to wait for about 6 months before you refinance, but the money doesn't go anywhere. It will stay with the lender. And so if you do want to reduce your rate, you don't pay a penalty for doing that. So anyway.
Right. So that $17,000, if we're using that as an example, goes into a pot that the lender keeps, and they contribute towards your payment 2%, the first year. And that pot, that $17,000 gets less and less every month. But let's say you want to refinance in a year and you've only, you've used up what, 12,000 of it, for instance, then you would get that $5,000 back. So that's the beauty of it. So if you did wind up refinancing, that money is actually, being held for you during that 2 years until you use it all up.
That's right. So you're not going to lose, if you do refinance, you're not going to lose any of the concessions that you're getting from the seller.
From the seller. Yeah, which is a beautiful thing.
Yes. So
as opposed to if they actually did buy the interest rate down, then that is lost. It's just when they do a 2-1 buy down, that's a different type of a program. It's really not buying down the interest rate, but it effectively does the same thing.
That's right. And the thing is, you're not getting, and boy, I don't want to have an argument online here with people calling me up and telling me what an idiot I am. But the problem with buying down your interest rate in this market is you're not getting that much bang for the buck. You're really not benefiting that much, because you take that whole pool of money and you're stretching out over 30 years. And then what happens if interest rates do go down and you refinance? Well, you lose all of it, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to if you buy it down, you use up some of it every month throughout the buy down, but you get the benefit of it. It's and then if you do decide to refinance, the money's still there for you to go into the new note and the new note rate. So this is just me talking. But if you have those two options, personally, I would highly recommend some sort of buy down for that reason over a permanent interest rate reduction. It just makes so much more sense when you do the math. So you would go for the permanent reduction, or you would do the 2-1 buy down? No, I would do a buy down. Either a 2.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I would do the 2-1 buy down, because then if you were able to refinance at a lower rate, then you get that money back. So
that's right.
Brilliant. Okay, should we talk about Snohomish County?
Let's go to Snohomish County. Yes.
Let's talk Snohomish County stats. How about that?
For those folks that are not from around here watching over in Mumbai, let me tell you, when you do visit the area, you've got to stop by Snohomish County and go to the Oxford. Oh, it's delicious. Is it still open?
The Oxford and downtown Snohomish? My gosh.
Snohomish. Yes.
Dan, that is amazing. Yeah. I mean, they have the best burgers with bacon and avocado. Oh my goodness. Oh man. Yeah. And they got some good light music there too. I love the Oxford. I love the Oxford. It's never disappoints.
No, it doesn't. It's a lot of fun.
Yes.
It's a fun spot.
For sure.
So for our overseas viewers that are coming over to Snohomish, check out the Oxford. There you go. Anyways, go ahead.
That's right. That's a good tip. Yes. For all of you, all of you coming to the United States and showing up in Washington, you should check out Snohomish. It's
That's
not a
right.
bad little town. It's very
No,
cool. We'll say.
it is.
It's got all the cute little shops along the waterfront, along the river there, and they've got lots of little restaurants and antique shops and coffee shops, bakeries, a pie place. Heck, they've even got a pie dive bar. It's called Pie Dive Bar. They serve pies and cocktails. Oh my God, what a great combination. So you can get like meat pies, right? Like I think they have like a chicken fajita pie and your traditional meat pies. And then they've got sweet pies, fruit pies, cream pies. Oh my gosh. And then the cocktails, I can't. They're just
You know
off the
what?
chart.
I was just thinking,
I'm getting hungry.
if we have a studio audience for our live streams, we'll have to hold it there, and then on the flyers to bring people in for our studio audience, we can legitimately promise punch and pie. So there you go.
Yes.
I'm stealing a little bit from South Park, but anyways, move along.
Punch and pie.
Sorry about that.
I think it's great. No, I'm all in. I'm all in.
A little punch and pie. There we go.
Okay, so let's get back into Snohomish County here.
Snohomish
So
County, yes.
month supply of inventory is 0.9 months, and that is unchanged. So still a strong seller's market there. There are 38% of the sellers are setting offer review dates still. That number is coming down. They were in the 50, over 50% of sellers were setting offer review dates a bit ago, but I think more and more sellers are realizing the market is cooling a tad. So anyway, so let's see. 44% of sellers got under contract within the first 7 days on the market. That number has also softened. So it was higher last week and many of the weeks prior, going back to April. So 55% of sellers got under contract within the first 14 days. So that's similar to King County. So the second week in Snohomish is not too bad. You've got 11% that are getting under contract that second week. So that doesn't make a seller too nervous. There's a good chance they still would get under contract with that second week. But I would say it's imperative you get under contract within that first 2 weeks because it gets downhill from there. It goes downhill quickly. So for sellers. So anyway, so some additional stats I pulled for Snohomish this past week. The average sales price in Snohomish County is up 58% over the past 5 years. So June 2018 to June 2023. So that's pretty significant. That's quite a bit higher than King County in general. So that goes to the affordability issue, which we'll talk about in just a second. The other factor for housing in Snohomish County is the lack of inventory. And this number is it's shocking to me. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around having 59% less available housing to purchase in now as opposed to June 2022. So in the last year, we've dropped, inventory is down by almost 60%. So less than half. So there's a lot less houses to look at. I mean, there just isn't inventory. Snohomish County is particularly bad. I think that's contributing to the strength in the MSI, the month supply of inventory staying very solidly at 0.9 months. Because we just don't have any inventory. And Snohomish County is the worst of the three counties for inventory. So if you're looking at Snohomish County, you're probably going to have to compete. You're probably going to have to compete. I don't want to have to say that out loud, but it's possible. Very, very likely. So anyway, so that's Snohomish County is interesting. Why don't we go? Let me go. Hold on. Let me see. Let's get into affordability. We'll do Pearson a little bit. I'd like to talk about affordability in Snohomish County. My notes on that.
We were talking about this before the show, and boy, oh boy, is it ever eye-opening.
It's shocking, actually, and you guys are not going to believe these numbers. It's just hard. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around how hard it's going to be for buyers to buy houses in 2023. It's just shocking. So I put together an example of a home in 2018 that you would have purchased for maybe $600,000. So maybe 2,500 square foot, 2-story in a reasonably nice neighborhood in South Snohomish County, South Everett, South Snohomish, Mill Creek kind of area. And you would have had a 4.5% interest rate. And you would have done 20%. If you did 20% down, you'd be $120,000 down, right? 4.5% interest rate. Your payment would have been, just for principal and interest, $2,432. So $2,432 a month for your payment for principal and interest. So back in 2018, in June. Okay. So now let's take that same house, and now it's gone up 58%, remember? So let's take that same house and take that times 1.58. And the number you get is $948,000. So the house has gone up 58%, same house 5 years later, right? Okay.
Yep.
So now you're doing 20% down, and your 20% down is almost $190,000. So that's almost $70,000 more for down payment 5 years later. Same house. Okay.
Same house. Yep.
Interest rate of 7%. Okay. Monthly payment, $5,046. That is up. You're not going to believe this. 107% since June 2018 versus June 2023. It's over double for the payment. In the down payment went up $70K. So, you can imagine how hard it is for somebody trying to buy a home in Western Washington right now. I mean, it's just heinous. Just with the appreciation. Listen, the appreciation is fantastic for homeowners, right? It's that's what your nest egg, right? Helps you when you retire. It's the American dream to buy a home and get appreciation on your home, right, over the years as you pay it off. But now to get into a home for a home buyer is it's just so difficult. It's really, really tough. You got people coming in now with gifts from parents or family trying to help with the down payment, because it's just it's tough to come up with $190,000. Let's face it.
Well, part of the problem is the gift from the parents. These buyers are like 58 years old and need gifts from the parent. No, just joking. But anyways.
Yeah, well, it's to be fair, probably half my clients are retired right now this year. Half my clients are retired, and the other ones are, I've got one that's a move-up buyer, and they're doing it for lifestyle because they need to get out of their townhome and they want to get into a home with a yard. So they're willing to give up their fantastic interest rate and try to parlay that into higher interest rate, but a house that they can have a yard, and they can have family over, for weekends and stuff, and they've got rooms for them to stay in, and the grandkids to go outside and play in the yard, and if they wanted to get a dog, they could get a pet. And so they're really desperate to get into something, and it's just been really a challenge to find a home that we could actually compete on and win.
Well, the interesting part, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but I've had this with the recent client as well. And one strategy, it sounds crazy, but it works, especially in this environment, is to take that chunk of money. They're selling their old house, and part of the reason they're selling that old house, they're getting the benefit of selling it at extremely high prices, right? So taking a chunk of that money, and they're actually putting into a reverse mortgage. If you're old enough, you can put that into a reverse mortgage, eliminates the payments, and then you can kind of sit out this whole painful process of high interest rates. You don't have to be making payments every month, and it's pretty cool. And then if rates come back down, you can always refinance it. It's an interesting, I think it's a great concept, but it takes a little bit of explanation, and it's beyond the purview of our live stream for today. But
Right.
I am seeing this being taken advantage of more and more. It's an interesting concept. And
With reverse mortgages, you mean?
You're using a reverse mortgage on a purchase. Yeah, you can.
Right.
You know, when with rates as high as they are, you got to be a little bit creative with stuff. You know.
Yeah.
And it takes not just getting a mortgage per se, but you got to be a bit of a financial planner as well. You know. So. Wear the financial planning hat as well as the mortgage guy hat sometimes, but it does make some sense. Anyways, I apologize for interrupting. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. Okay, well let's do Pierce. Let me see. Where are my notes for Pierce?
Yes.
All right, hold on. I gotta get my notes here, Dan. Hold on.
But I gotta admit, I was taking notes of Snohomish, the 2018 to 2023 comparison. And it really is stunning of going from a $2,400 a month payment to a $5,000 a month payment.
I can't even hardly grasp that concept. I mean, obviously you and I are very lucky, you know, we've got homes back in the day, right? But you know, can you imagine being a buyer in this market and having to, I mean, for a what was a $600,000 house in 2018, which was just a normal family home, 2,500 square foot normal family home, which in Snohomish County was more affordable than King County back then. And so, you have people moving to Snohomish County to save a little bit of money, and property taxes at the time were a little bit lower. I'm not sure that's still the case, but anyway, but, and that now for that same home to be almost $1 million is just, it's just hard to wrap your brain around.
Right.
I have a hard time digesting that fact. It's just so much money, and then to have the payment over $5,000, and that doesn't include the property taxes and insurance. So that's literally, and that's assuming you put 20% down. That's putting $190,000 down, and so you're only financing $700 only. Oh my God. You're only financing $700. What's the problem, people?
Well,
can't you handle that at 7% interest rates? Oh my God.
Yes. And what's your complaint again? I'm sorry, I missed. No, but it is crazy. It is crazy.
Yeah. It's hard to get your brain around. When you actually look at the data and you see how it's changed in just 5 years, it's really shocking. Like I said, appreciation is great for sellers. As we live in our homes for years and years, it feels good to know that our home is worth more money than we paid for it, and significantly more. Feels a little bit like a hedge against inflation, as your dollar becomes worse over time or worth less over time. It's just, it's always comforting to think, oh yeah, your home is appreciating. But the flip side is that buyers, if interest rates get too high, it really impacts whether, buyers can afford to buy homes. I mean, geez. I mean, I know there's 3% down programs, but you still have to manage the payment.
Right.
It's not just the down payment. You still have to manage the monthly payment.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, any way you slice it, it's expensive. I mean, it just is. And hopefully we get some interest rate relief reasonably soon, and we can,
Not this week, Dan. Not this week. We're raising rates again. Fed's raising rates again. It's not this week. Ain't gonna happen.
Well, we'll see. They are going to raise rates tomorrow, no question about it. They are raising the Fed funds rate, and they're talking about that's probably the last one for now, but we'll see.
We'll see. I'll believe it when I see it at this point.
Yes.
I never thought they'd be this high in a year and 2 months, whatever it is.
Yeah. Honestly, I never thought they were going to raise rates past about, I don't know, I think they had a rate raise in February. And in February, I was mentioning to somebody, I said, I think this is it. This is the last rate hike. And boy, oh boy, oh boy. I'm glad I didn't put any money on it. Yes, completely. Yeah. Anyways, we were going to talk Pierce County next, right?
Yes, your favorite place, Pierce County. Let's talk about Pierce County.
You know why I love Pierce County?
No.
Lakewood. Lakewood.
You
What
like
you gonna
Lakewood?
do when they come for you, bad boys, bad boys? So
Oh
go
my
ahead.
God. Oh, Dan, you digress, Dan.
Sorry.
Month supply of inventory is 1.1 months. That stayed consistent. 29% of sellers set offer review dates in Pierce County. So it's definitely a softer market down there, and sellers are anticipating it's a softer market, right? So it's not quite as strong as sellers market. 46% of sellers did get under contract within the first 7 days on the market. So that's a big number.
What was that number again?
46% got on the market, got under contract within the first 7 days on the market. So that's a good number. 46% is pretty strong,
That's real solid, yeah.
So that's almost half within the first 7 days. So they still have a fairly strong seller's market down there. 49% got under contract within the first 14 days. Back to that scary second week.
Yeah,
So
I was just thinking, how much was in the
don't
first 45?
miss the first 7 days in Pierce County.
Was it 45% in the first 7 days?
46% in the first 7 days.
In the first 7 days.
49% up to 14 days on the market.
Then 3 extra percent for that last week.
It's tight. It's very tight.
And then you're dead meat.
That's, again, those first 7 days, critical for sellers. As usual, I mean, honestly, in a competitive seller's market, the first 7 days are actually critical. In a normal market, you want to have everything ready, your photos and your Matterports, and you want to be perfectly ready for market. But if you don't get sold in the first 7 days, it's not dire. In this market, in a competitive seller's market, it is imperative that you get sold within the first 7 days if you want to hang on to the list, if you want to get full price anyway or more. So
we were talking about this last week, I think, maybe 2 weeks ago. But the things you would do, I will refresh my memory here. So you got to get this. You're putting this house on the market. You got to get an offer in the first. I mean, you got to target that first 7 days. Critical stuff, right? So you have to have everything ready to go. You got to clean the windows and the windowsills. You got to have it staged. You got to have your photo. Was it photo package or photo? All the photos.
I have a media team that takes professional photos. They do the 3D Matterport walkthrough. They put together a floor plan, and they also do professional photography in short format film to share on social media. So those packages will run anywhere from $1,100 to $1,500. So that's what it costs to put together a thorough media package. So I'm a fan.
Yeah,
I do it for all my listings. Doesn't matter what the price point is. They all get the same treatment. So everybody gets the brochures, the color brochures that are beautiful. The drone videos. Don't forget the drone videos. Sometimes those are really cool as they fly around the property and the yard and stuff. So that can be kind of fun in a video. But so that's the photography, the media team aspect of getting on the market. But prior to that, you want to make sure that it's, we got to get it staged right after all the cleaning's done. So you may need a cleaning team in there. I use Magic Hands in this area. They do a great job. They're not the cheapest in town, but they actually are very, very good at what they do. So, and I've got a guy for windows, Tim. He does an amazing job with the windows and the window tracks. My landscaper, Miguel, and his crew, they can do yard cleanup like nobody else. I mean, I turn them loose on my rental or on my own house probably once a year, and they trim all the shrubs. They clean up the yard. They bring, fresh bark. They just do amazing. They transform, they do edging, and they pull weeds, and they'll do whatever you need them to do. And they'll just knock out that property in one day. So you'll have two to four guys there working all day. And that'll run you, $1,000, $1,500, but they can whip out my half acre like nobody's business. I always tip them when they're done because I'm so shocked at how great everything looks when they get done. I'm like, oh my God, I have to tip these guys. That's how great they are. So it's fun for me to refer them because they do great jobs. They do a great job for my clients too. So I've had them do yard cleanups so many times, and it's amazing how nice they can make the property look to get ready for those photos and the media package. So Miguel is my landscape guy. What else? Let's see. What else do we do to get ready for market? So we've got house cleaners. Well, paint, right? So a lot of homes, I'm going to say at least half need either interior or exterior paint. So
just asking for your professional opinion. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Sorry. Your professional opinion. Let's just say hypothetically, you've got the red floor that you have up in Everett. Do you paint the floor or do you paint the rest of the walls red to match the floor?
Well, if you have red carpeting or a colorful flooring, you have to remove it. You have to, otherwise you will impact the sale of that property. I will say the estate sale there in Edmonds, I feel like they got lucky. The house, if it was really spruced up, you'd probably be in the 9s, to be fair. So they were priced at the mid 7s. Yeah. So, but they might have even done better had they just gone through, had the interior blown out all white. You can even paint the trim white, just make it all shiny and new and clean, right? So I call it blowing out the interior because that means the ceilings, the walls, the trim, if it's dated trim, and then you replace the flooring. So if it's carpet throughout most of the home, that's fairly easy to do. And, depending on what the bathrooms and kitchen flooring look like, sometimes you can leave those. But just to get it feeling clean and not have odors and things, it's, imperative to get rid of the old carpet to get rid of those odors. And this house did have some pretty strong odors in it. So I would have recommended that. And then I probably would have told them to use Kills primer, oil-based primer on the walls and ceiling. And then also before you put the flooring down, you use the Kills primer for that as well to block any pet stains or any odors from pet stains, etc. And when you blow it out with white paint, and it's just gorgeous. Chantilly lace from Benjamin Moore is my favorite white for getting a house ready for market. That's just been, it doesn't look yellowish, it doesn't look pink, it doesn't tend towards purple. It's just like the perfect white. So that's what I recommend. I think it's critical when you remove the carpet that you go ahead and you paint that subfloor with the Kills primer and get a good coat on there. Get a good coat, and you might need to do it twice, and then have the new carpets installed. And listen, if you do that, you're going to eliminate 99% of the odors in a house. That's really a good way to do it. So, and it's an opportunity for the seller to actually get the house ready for the next buyer and feel good about it instead of just putting a Band-Aid, a Band-Aid on by just painting the walls or replacing the carpet with just new carpet without doing the odor blocking. So that Kills makes a lot of difference. So, and a lot of times, you can hide those smells like cigarette smoke smells for a couple of weeks after you paint, but they come back. My daughter had that happen over in Kingston. I remember going through the house with her and before we had it painted and new floors put in, and it smelled super strong smoke. I mean, they smoked in the house. And then she had it painted, and I didn't have the conversation with her about Kills. And much to my chagrin, she went ahead, she had it painted with my painter, actually painted it. And when, oh my God, it was on the market, 1 week, she got an offer. It didn't smell yet. And then by the second week, that smoke odor started coming back. And we were terrified that the buyer would walk. So you can cover up smoke odors for a very short window, but they do come back. So that tar leaches through paint from cigarette smoke. So something to be conscientious of, conscious of when you're getting a house ready for the market, if it has some residual smoke smells or pet odors from, potty mistakes from our little furry friends, which we all love.
Cats are going to be cats. There's not much you can do about it.
Well, and puppies and, older animals as well, with their issues. I've certainly had my fair share. But when I replaced my flooring, I used Kills. Did the trick. So, you know, and then you put down a waterproof flooring, just saying. That takes care of that. No more carpets. If you got a dog that pees on the floor, it's got to be waterproof. So, anyway.
Yes, we're talking to you, Mr. Fat Tuesday. No, go ahead. No.
Mr. Fat Tuesday wouldn't have an accident, would you?
No.
Oh, where'd he go? There you are. You down at mommy's feet. Oh, you good boy. You good boy. So I had a couple more statistics that I wanted to talk about in Pierce County before I do my quick clothes change. So Pierce County, the average sales price, let's see, let me find my notes again. The average sales price, I've got a piece of tape over it. So in the past 5 years, Pierce County has gone up 52% average sales price.
Wow.
For the homes. And the available homes for sale are down only 40% from last year. So they've had 52% price growth average, but the inventory is still down 40%. So, that's the lowest of the 3 counties for inventory problems, but 40% is still a big number.
Yeah, that's a huge number. Huge number. Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah. So anyway, that's Pierce County. Now it looks like I need to change clothes again because we're going to talk about something else.
Hang on, I'm updating our banners here. Hang on.
Are you updating our banners?
Yes.
All right.
See if I can.
Sipping my water over here. I need to wet my whistle, Dan.
All
right, here we go. So, guys, the reason I'm adding sweaters and stuff is because, I'm going to take this video and I'm going to slice it up into smaller chunks to post on social media. So that's why I'm adding layers, because I think people think they've seen this, even though I'm talking about different things, they oftentimes scroll past because they think they've already seen it. So I'm trying to offer a little variety. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I don't want people missing stuff. This is important stuff I have to say. I wake up in the morning, I go to the word bank, right? I mean, I'm sure everybody does this. I go to the word bank, I pick up, there's so many words in the container over there. I grab as many as I can get.
The word bank?
The word bank.
What's the word bank?
It's where you go pick up your words in the morning. What do you think it is?
The only words I ever pick up first thing in the morning are like, anyway, go ahead.
Doesn't everybody go to the word bank in the morning to collect their words for the day? I say that because I talk a lot and I have a lot to say. And I'm often chewing somebody's ear off, and I just let them know, hey, listen, I go to the word bank. I get way too many words in the morning, and then you have to use them or you lose them. Right? I was trying to be funny, Dan.
I'm just thinking about myself. I'm like Marge Simpson's sisters. They're like, that's about the extent of my vocabulary first thing in the morning. So anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, that's my joke. So let's see. I wanted to talk a little bit about one of the questions I get asked. One of the questions I get asked in real estate is this a good time to buy? And a good time to buy a home, right? And the short answer is yes, a resounding yes, absolutely. Now is a good time to buy. And you could wait for interest rates to come down, but what's going to happen? There's going to be a run on the real estate market. It's going to be competition. Exactly right. Prices are going to go through the roof. So your choice is pick your poison. The higher interest rates or the lower price. Well, guess what? Right now, you have an opportunity to pick up a house at a lower price than you will down the road. So I'm not saying that we won't see a softening this fall. We could see prices come back a little bit this fall, but but first thing next year is the same thing's going to happen. The same cycle is going to happen again, unless interest rates keep going up. At which point you're going to have a higher interest rate. But if you can buy a house at a lower price, you can always refinance later. You can always refinance later at, when rates come down. But, do you want to pay that extra $100,000, $200,000 for the house? Because that's your principal. That's so right. Your best, the best mode of action is, if you're ready to buy a house, buy now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's that easy. I can help you. I can help you try to buy a house. Helps if you have cash. or you've got a full, you're fully
pre-underwritten.
You're fully underwritten. That's the word. It's fully underwritten. So you got to get fully underwritten or have cash. It's the rules.
Yeah,
that's cash rules for buying a house.
Those are your rules of engagement in today's market, for sure.
That's right. But to be fair, you can't time the market. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know where interest rates are going for sure. What we do know is interest rates do go up and they go down. So over time. So is that 1 year from now? Is that 5 years from now? When I bought my house, I bought it with a 5-1 ARM, and that worked perfectly for me. Because by the time the 5 years was over, interest rates had come down. So now my payment went down after my fixed 5 years was done. My payment actually went down. So I actually didn't refinance for a couple of years. And then interest rates really were down. So it worked out really well for me. But, we can't predict what interest rates are going to do. But we can be very, very assured that the real estate prices are going to continue to go up because we have a general shortage of housing in Washington state. So that we can be certain of. So as Barbara Corcoran would say, buy now. Kat Howard says, buy now. I mean.
Well, and the thing is,
the options are not good. I have clients that held off. They were supposed to buy in January. They held off. The interest rates started ticking up. And they said, we're just going to wait and see what happens. Okay. Well, that went well. What do we have now? We have another percent in interest. And housing prices are up 21% in Snohomish County. They're up 22% in King County. I mean, well, they waited from January was a great time.
It was.
Before 7%. And housing prices hadn't skyrocketed again, up 21% in Snohomish County. So that would be a mistake. That was a mistake.
Can I tell you the perfect time to have bought? I have a good idea of when it was.
When was that, Dan?
Let's see. Let's just say hypothetically, you put an offer in on a beautiful property in Arlington in November.
Yes. That was a good time.
That was the perfect time to buy because
our beautiful clients, Amanda and Videy, they scored a good one. They are sitting pretty. Man, oh man. I'm so happy for them. They might be watching us on Facebook. You never know.
You never know.
Hi, guys. We're talking about you.
But anyway, boy, what a beautiful place. Beautiful area.
Daylight Rambler on what was it? An flat acre at the end of a dead end street of like kind homes. Everybody was on an acre. Everybody had back to greenbelt. I mean, I call those dream streets. So, and I look for those for my clients when I'm looking for homes for them. I call those dream streets because one would have it that you should have less crime because there's only one way in and one way out.
Yep.
And you also have a small community typically, so 30, 50 homes, where a builder has just built homes on both sides of a street that they cut into an area in Snohomish County that they let them do, to do the development. But you also have neighbors. You get to know all your neighbors in communities like that. And Amanda and Videy know all their neighbors. It's so cool. I mean, I'm just so thrilled for them. They love their neighbors. Everybody looks out for everybody. So it's quite a comfortable situation for them. They love
Yeah.
it, and they've got their dogs, and it's, I'm happy for them. That house was amazing. What was it built like in, was it late 90s, early 2000s, I think? And the floors have
Something
been redone. Just gorgeous. Fully fenced backyard and a ginormous backyard, right?
Yep.
Green
And
belt on all the
they
way
got-
around. It's so private.
Yeah.
And they got a hot tub out of the deal. Score for Amanda. She likes a hot tub.
Oh gosh, yeah, that was a beauty. That really was. That was a beauty.
Yeah.
But
They were fun. They were fun to work with. We're gonna take the ferry over to see my daughter in Kingston coming up here
nice.
in a couple of weeks. Yeah. So Amanda, Vidi, and I are gonna park in Edmonds, and we're gonna take a ferry over on like a Saturday when they have the live concerts over there in Kingston. And we're gonna meet Michelle for a kind of a late lunch, early dinner, and go with the family to the concert there at Kingston. So
Michelle's doing those concerts every Saturday, right? She's
doing the farmers markets.
Farmers market.
Does the farmers markets once a month. So she does the first Sunday? First Sunday in every month. So she's going to do the first Sunday in August, and she'll have the kids corner there. So she'll have like little mini golf. I think she's going to get a bouncy house for the kids.
Oh, those are fun.
It costs like $500, and they charge like, I don't know, $300 to deliver it or something. It's pretty expensive, but
wow,
she likes to do that stuff for the kids, and it keeps her kids busy when she's there. It's fun for her to do that for the community. So she's got all kinds of activities for kids at the Kingston Farmers Market coming up in August, and also the first weekend in September. If you guys live over there, or if you're in Edmonds, grab the ferry and go over, especially if you got kids. My daughter, Michelle Cook, will be there. And I might be there too. You never know. Her mom.
Oh, good.
Gotta go see the grandkids,
That's right. That's right. Oh gosh. Okay. So I took us over to left field. Bring us back to where we
where were we? Oh, you know what? I have a story to tell you. Okay, one more thing. So I've been calling my past clients because I want to see where they're at, what they're doing. I just had one of my clients purchase a duplex down in Aberdeen, so that we reconnected. I helped him buy a house like 18 years ago, so it was fun to reconnect. And it turns out he wanted to buy an investment property, so we hooked him up with an investment property down in Aberdeen, and he didn't have to do anything when they transferred it into his name. The management company, First Harbor, did everything. I mean, they transferred the utilities, they handled the transfer of the agreements, the deposit. They did everything. He literally just sat here, waited for the keys to be FedExed to him. And he's like, "Is that all, Kat?" He's like, "Gosh, that's easy." And I'm like, "Yeah." And it covers his payment. And First Harbor's just going to make his payment for him. So he doesn't have to do anything. His life doesn't change, but now he owns an investment property. Other than he had to come up with the down payment, right? To be fair, so you had to come up with the down payment. We had to write an offer, but that worked out really nicely. So anyway, I'm making a point to reconnect with my clients that I've done business with in the past. One, I want to see them. I want to see how they are. So I did. I called Cassie and Brandon, and they're just a darling couple. I helped them buy a manufactured home on 2.5 acres over by Echo Lake community. Perfectly flat, 2.5 acres in a great area.
Wow.
And so what they told me they were going to do was, when they bought it, is they were going to build a shop and a new home on the property, and then keep the manufactured as just kind of a guest house situation. So it's been 2 years, and I went by yesterday, called them, decided to get together yesterday evening at 4:00. I went by there, and oh my gosh, they built a 40 by 40 foot shop with 14-foot roll-up doors, three 14-foot roll-up doors. They're operated with remote. And I mean, with a lift, a 10,000 pound lift in the center. So you could literally park like, I don't know, 6 cars, motorhomes, boats. 1,600 square foot shop. It's enormous. So it's super well lit. I guess they went to a lighting expert and got proper lighting for it. But it's just amazing. It's beautiful. So they've got the shop. He's 2 weeks from being signed off with Snohomish County. So it's just about complete. He's putting in some drainage right now. And then they'll be done with that. And then he can enjoy the rest of his summer before they get started on the next phase. But they told me they were going to do that. And they actually implemented that plan. And they got their shop in there. And now they're looking at trying to find a builder. So shout out to any small builders in Snohomish County, King County that would like to tackle probably a 2,500 square foot. I don't know if it's going to be a Rambler or a 2-story, but reach out because my clients are looking for a builder. They'd like to get started by next March. So they're open to floor plans and, talking to builders, have someone actually oversee the project as opposed to them doing all the work like they did on their shop. So they're really looking forward to working with a builder. I'm just saying. So, and hopefully they get the house completed in fairly short order and they can move in. And yeah, it was so much fun. We started talking about when they had their house down in Oregon and how they started to replace the kitchen flooring. And then it moved into the family room. And then it just wound up being the whole floor, like in the whole house. And I said, oh no, I know how that goes. And then it's not just the floor. Then it goes trim. And then doors, interior doors, right? So now you've got trim around the baseboards, the trim around the doors that you're doing. And then you're like, do you paint the doors? The interior doors? Do you replace them? Like I did? And how one project keeps leading into another one, and they got caught in that whole juggernaut of home remodeling right before they were selling. So anyway, so we had some good laughs about that. But shoot, I ended up staying there for like 2 hours. It was great. I brought them a property review for their home because they've owned it for 2 years. And one of the things I like to do is do property reviews for previous clients to let them know approximately their home value in the current market so that they can get their insurance updated, because a lot of people don't update their insurance annually, and you should at least every other year, because like in their case, their property has probably gone up at least $300,000 with the addition of the shop and then appreciation in general. And he built the shop, so I think it cost him like over $100,000, but his property value, he needs to have that reinsured for a higher amount, for sure. And so anyway, I like to do these property reviews for people, and it's got all kinds of information about just the graphs in general for Snohomish and King counties. So I put in a lot of like average sales price, where it's gone in the last couple of years. And I also put in their tax information, inventory, the chart on inventory, how low that's gotten, and how many properties have sold in the last year, what the average days on market were for those properties for that neighborhood. So within like 1.5 miles, 2 miles of their house. And so in their case, properties were selling in an average of 24 days. So over where they're located. And so anyway, I like to do those property reviews for my prior customers, prior clients. And they really appreciated that. And then, of course, I include my stats by cat at the very end, right?
Let me ask you, if somebody watching, just in case, somebody's out there watching, and they wanted to get a property. What's that?
Just in case somebody's watching.
Just in case, you never know. Lightning may strike. You never know. But just in case somebody's watching and they wanted to get a property review, can they just email you at this email address on the screen? Is that good? Howard at Windemere.com?
Yeah, sure. We can put together a property review very quickly in less than an hour. It's very generalized, though. It is not specific to your property. It just gives you an overview of what the homes are selling for in that area and kind of gives you like a graph showing square footage versus selling price. And so it gives you kind of a generality, right? So that's what a property review is. It just gives you a ballpark. So within probably $100,000 of accuracy, it's not terribly accurate because, properties can vary so widely. So if they really want to know home value, I can put together a market analysis, and that's where I come out, take a look at the property, and then I really look at who's sold and what's on the market, and can give you a very accurate valuation. But the property review is more of just a generalized that you would use it for your insurance agent and let them know, listen, the property's gone up from, what they paid for it. It's gone up $300,000. So can we add on some more insurance for the property in case something catastrophic happens? So,
okay.
And so that's what I'm doing this year is I'm trying to do some property reviews, getting together with past clients. I don't want to say old clients. That sounds bad.
Past clients.
Yes. My fun clients. My clients are almost always fun. I love that. So that was really fun. Yeah. But if somebody wants a market analysis, those are free. I sign up to do that shit for free. So you can hit me up for those anytime.
Well, I'll tell you what, this part of the video needs to make it onto a TikTok reel. That's all I could say.
Yes.
Because that's really important. Getting that stuff. It's like a first step to see where you're at.
Yeah. Yep. And guys, don't listen to Zillow. They're right sometimes, but that's not good enough. Well, and Redfin, same thing. Their valuation tools, not very good. And also your tax assessed value, not accurate to determining your home value. So be skeptical of all those venues for, arriving at a proper pricing for your home. Those have there's no reason to even look at those when it comes to pricing a home for the market. I don't usually look at those numbers myself when I'm putting together a market analysis. I don't care what Zillow thinks. I don't care what the tax assessed value is. I care about the tax assessed value if it's terribly undervalued or if it's terribly overvalued. But for many, many years, the assessed value was very, very low compared to sales prices. Now, Snohomish County actually are doing some corrections this past year. My assessed value went down. That's very weird, but my taxes didn't go down. So how does that work? Anyway, that's my bend on the tax assessed value. But you want to rely on a good real estate broker in the state of Washington to come up with a valuation for your property. It's not what you think. It's not what the neighbors think. It's not what Zillow thinks or Redfin thinks. It's, it takes some careful consideration.
It's like what price can we sell this in the first 7 days, basically?
Yeah, well, and people, you might think that's a little bit crass, but there's going to be the right price. The right price in this market dictates that you should try to get it sold within the first 7 days. That means you're doing everything right. You're listening to your real estate broker, and you're fixing the things that need fixing. You're getting a pre-inspection from an inspector. You're finding out if there's anything that's really could be a deal breaker for a buyer, and you're correcting those items, whether you do it yourself or you hire Uncle Jerry or you hire a licensed bonded contractor. Regardless, you're fixing those things that could be hurdles to keeping in contract with a buyer. And then you're also make sure when you have the inspection, your home looks fairly decent, in good shape, not when you're packing, because buyers are going to see those photos, and inspectors include a lot of photos in those inspections. And I have had inspections that actually look heinous when there wasn't really anything wrong with the house, but the fact that they had all their cleaning supplies on the bathroom floors and all the doors and the cabinets open, and it photographed horribly for the inspection. It wasn't even recognizable when I did my Matterports, and I had my professional media team come in there. It was unrecognizable when you looked at the inspection report. So be mindful if you do have a pre-inspection, seller has an inspection prior to listing, that your home looks clean and tidy. Really important. Not something I really put a lot of thought into in the past, But more recently, since I had one show up and look so terrible that you were scaring buyers away, yeah, very important. So just keep that in mind. You know, inspectors taking pictures, guys. So anyway, but yeah, the goal would be to get off the market in the first 7 days. So because if you don't, the consequences can be, one, it's stressful.
Yeah.
So right, and you have no chance of multiple offers if you're on for more than 7 days, or very little. So it's the most beautiful thing would be to get a couple of offers and be able to pick between the offers and in which one has the best terms for you. So maybe one of them offers you a 30-day free rent back, so you can stay in the property for an extra 30 days while you go look for something. That might be worth more than $10,000 to you. So maybe the other guy's offering 10,000 over, but maybe you really need that rent back, and the guy that's offering more money can't give you a rent back because they're out of their place in 30 days. So it just gives you, it's just really smart. You want to price it to sell in 7 days. You really do. And that would be called the right price, by the way. The right price. Dan Howard, anyway. Price it right and prepare for market. That's my motto.
Yeah, well, goodness, there is a lot of, in this market, it's so tight that you got to do everything right. I mean, you just got to tick off all the boxes, don't leave any stone unturned. And that's I got to tell you, it seems to me like it would be a really, I shouldn't bring up these, just a nasty word, but this is not a market for FSBO amateurs. I hate to put it that way, but you really
well, you're gonna, you can always try to sell your house on your own, right. But you're likely not going to be priced right. Most sellers have a tendency to overprice, but my gosh, what if you underprice it, and you still don't sell it for 3 months? At least if you go on the MLS, and yeah, you have to pay the, the listing fees, whatever that looks like. For me, I charge 6% with my brokerage. And so 3% goes to the buyer's agent, 3% stays with my office and myself. So it gets divvied up, and for the service I provide, I think it's a good value. But you would skip having to pay realtor fees in there, unless you get a buyer that a realtor is working with, and you're probably paying them. So, but the inexperience in selling homes is what's going to get you in trouble as a for sale by owner. Right. I understand that there's a segment of the population that doesn't like realtors, or doesn't appreciate what real estate agents and brokers do for a living, and I get it. I mean, everybody has a bend against something, myself, I'm not crazy about car salesmen, when I go buy a new car, it stresses me out. So, if somebody has that feeling about real estate brokers, I get it, but it might not be a bad idea to just, call your friends, see who they use for their agent, talk to an agent, get a pricing opinion, at least get yourself headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, it just seems
you just don't get the exposure when you're for sale by owner. When you go on the MLS, if you're priced right and you're prepared well for the market, you're just going to get a lot more exposure. I mean, you go on Zillow, like I'll get a new listing, I'll go on Zillow and I'll see how many people have saved it. You can have like 500 saves in the first 3 days. So, there's a lot of buyers out there right now that are looking, and they're not necessarily jumping on things, but some of them are. But that's the exposure I'm talking about. It's not just the Northwest Multiple Listing Service where you have people that have searches set up that get emailed listings through that. But it's also the exposure through Zillow. Once the house has been professionally prepared for the market, and the exposure through, Realtor.com, Trulia, a host of other websites that when you go on the multiple listing service, it goes out to all these other venues, all these other, Realtor.com and Zillow's out there in the world. So it can make a real difference, because you don't know which particular spot on the web or on the internet that person's actually tuned in to looking for houses. We don't know. So that's why it gets parlayed out to all these other sites to
Right.
get you the maximum exposure. So there's a reason why we get paid what we get paid, you know. Not to mention it gets divvied up a half a dozen ways, but so you want your
Well,
realtor well paid.
the thing is, there are so many boxes that need to be checked, and you have to price it right in this market, and you have to be able to generate some demand in the first 7 days. And I mean, these are truly professional concepts that you need to be able to really understand. That if you can't reasonably be expected to understand all this stuff and be able to put this whole package together if you're doing this for the first time, right?
First
Trying to
time,
sell it
yeah.
yourself.
As a realtor, as a realtor broker, I impart so much wisdom in the process to my clients, and I can guide them all the way through, right down to contacting service providers for them, getting bids for them, whether they're living here or they've moved already. I can meet the service providers, just a lot of things that I do outside of actually selling the home or preparing it for, including preparing it for the market. So if I have an out-of-state seller, for instance, I'm the one running the show. I'm meeting the painter. I've got the contractor lockbox on there. I'm getting the quotes, and I'm, sending them to my clients and getting multiple bids. And that's just what we do. It's a lot of work because you're driving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You're possibly even selecting paint color, carpet colors, making sure the floors get refinished, whatever the thing is that the client needs done. And in some cases, you almost need an overall freshening up. And I've been involved in many of those. And I don't mind doing it because it's to the benefit of my seller. They're going to get more bang for the buck doing that. They're going to make more money than what it's going to cost them to get, to put into the place. So it benefits them tremendously. And it benefits me too, in that, we'll have a property that's going to be easier to sell because it'll be more presentable. People don't have extra cash laying around right now. I mean, I know some people do, but most people trying to buy a home, if they've got to come up with 10 or 20%, that's all they've got. They don't have the money to go in and replace carpet and do painting and when the house is empty, to have it blown out, like I've had houses blown out for $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. They paint everything, or you can have them just paint the walls and not the trim, right? I've had that done too. And again, it's relatively inexpensive, but if you're living there, it's very invasive.
Yes.
And you can't stay there all the time either. So there's certain term will make you leave for a couple of days. So, doing it when the house is empty after the seller's moved out is a really smart thing to do. And it just makes the house look clean and crisp and new. And it helps with odors. I mean, it's just, there's so many things about throwing on a new paint, a coat of paint on the interior that makes so much difference when you go to sell it. And the staging looks better, having that nice, pretty Chantilly white Benjamin Moore color that I love so much. It shows well. It gets my listings sold very quickly. So I have what do you call it? I have a combination of things I do, what do you call that? Oh gosh, I'm having a mind blank, but I have a list of things that I do on most listings, and that works. I have a formula. It's a formula. Oh my gosh, brain fart. I have a formula that I use with my listings, and I make sure that everything is checked off. And we talk about it. I talk about it with the sellers and make sure that they're okay with everything that we're talking about doing. And we talk about the cost of it and the benefits of doing it. And if you can get sold within the 7 days and you get an extra offer or two, I got to tell you, that's gold. That's gold. Why wouldn't you do that? Yeah. If you're in original condition when the home was built, like 1960s or 1970s, unless you're really lucky, you're not going to get multiple offers because the house is going to need a lot of cash influx to bring it up to where buyers want to see their pretty, quartz countertops and their brand new cabinets with soft close and, you know, in the modern flooring. Back to the modern flooring again, guys. But buyers like that, you know, the vinyl or the wood planking. Buyers love that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it makes a lot of difference getting ready for the market. And you don't have to remodel the house that looks like it's from the 1970s. You can just do some of the other things. Like you could paint the interior white. That'll make a huge difference. And then you just put in cute staging. I mean, that can make all the difference in the world. So you don't have to necessarily replace all the flooring unless, again, it's colorful or it's really bad. Sometimes you can just get away with a quick coat of interior paint and cute staging. So you still have to wash the windows. It has to be clean. You know, I don't want any weird smells.
Isn't it Tim? Tim, the window guy?
Tim is the window guy. Yep. I've already referred him. I put a video out about him doing windows last week, and I've already referred him a couple times. So Tim, if you're bored, I got people coming at you. By the way, he's cleaning my gutters on Thursday because I'm getting my house painted, and I want my gutters flowing before the painters get up there and start painting them. You know, so I thought, oh shoot, I need to get Tim out here. You know? I'll have him come back after the painting to do my windows and tracks. and all the glass on my deck. Oh my gosh. I think he's mortified every time he comes over here because, you know, I always wind up getting water on those dang deck glass panels, you know, on the deck. So I've always got, you know, water calcium buildup. Because I spray him off with the hose, you know. So I get chewed out every time he comes out. But he still does them.
Oh gosh.
What else you got, Dan?
I got nothing, Kat. I'm
okay,
dead.
Good. Are we done?
I'm good. I'm dead.
Are you dead?
Well,
did I kill you? I killed you off, Dan.
I have literally nothing interesting to say from this point forward.
I know. It's just time to take a break and go have dinner.
Time to take a break and have dinner. Yes.
Or happy hour.
I'm going to lean toward happy hour today. I don't know why.
Yes.
It's 4:30. We got half hour till it's 5 o'clock. You know,
it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. And for my money, 4:30, 5 o'clock, 6 of one, half dozen the other.
Yeah. Come see, come
saw.
All right, so guys, we're signing off on TikTok. Thank you so much for joining. See you guys again next week, probably Tuesday in the afternoon, 3 to 5, somewhere in there. So bye, ciao.
Bye. Bye-bye, TikTok.
Okay, yep, TikTok's off now.
TikTok is off. We've
TikTok's
still
off.
got. So you want to hit the end button here for Facebook and
yeah,
and YouTube. Okay.
Okay.
Goodbye to YouTube.
Bye.
Goodbye, Facebook.
See you next week.
Bye.
Oh my God, we talked a long time, Dan.